Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, and thank you so much for joining me today. Please do like and subscribe, and to my returning subscribers, thank you so much guys for coming back. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the cost of moving abroad and how I landed my job here in the UK. So starting with how I landed my job here in the UK. So I completed my articles and qualified in 2020. And at that time, I decided to leave the firm that I was training with to just try and figure out what I really wanted to do. So in 2021, I was in the figuring out stage. And that's when I reached out to the recruitment agencies, which is Gap Talent, Robert Walters, and Blue Recruiting. So Blue Recruiting, I don't know really what happened there, but they never got back to me really. I remember filling out some form online, but that was it. Robert Walters told me that they didn't have any roles at that time. I should keep an eye. And Gap Talent took my CV and they told me they'll get back to me. I did all this through LinkedIn. And then in around about May, Gap Talent got back to me and they told me about opportunities in Dublin, which I declined because I wanted to move to the UK really, and the US was my second option. So end of May, end of June, they got back with the opportunities here in UK, which I gladly accepted, and I updated my CV. They submitted my CV to the firm, and the firm selected me for an interview. I had an interview with the firm, which was a very nice interview, by the way. I didn't really prepare for it. Didn't have time at that time. My life was very upside down, but it was still like a great interview, different from what I know. And there was no HR. Nobody asked me about my 5-year plans and stuff. Oh, thankfully. But it was really a nice interview. And then a couple of weeks later, I got the job. I accepted the offer. So it was really an easy process. But it did take a couple of months because I submitted my CV with Gap Talent around about February, if I can remember, and they only got back to me in June with the UK roles. Nothing with the US. I don't know if they recruit for the US, but yeah. And then in August, another recruitment agency reached out to me. I'm just trying to think of the name of the recruitment agency. It's Shelly Rasak or something. I'm gonna share a link with a role here in UK in a small firm, and this role was not in audit. So I was quite interested in that because I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to go back to audit, and if there was something out of audit that I could move with. I was very open for that. I had the interview there. I had 2 interviews. However, they told me that they decided to go with someone local and that I didn't convince them enough that I wanted to move, which was fine with me. However, a couple of weeks later, they got back to me to say now they wanted to interview me for an audit role. So I declined that because I just felt like, why? I mean, you said earlier on I didn't convince you enough that I wanted to move. Now, are you going to be convinced because it's audit? Anyway, I declined that. And I'm glad I did actually because I like where I am. So from the offer that I accepted with the firm, their immigration process started. Now, with the immigration process, I had to pay all my immigration costs. And then once I landed in UK, I was able to claim all of that back. So other firms do this differently. Other firms will pay for all your immigration costs upfront, and they will even book your accommodation when you get here. And then you'll be sorted. But as for me, I paid. So started with the TB test. So you have to do the TB test, and I think it was around about 3K. Then the English test, of which you don't really have to write. I didn't write mine. I just submitted the letter from the institution that confirmed that I did my degree in English, and there's a fee for that as well. I think it's like 3K as well, 3.5. Then the next thing that you have to do is the background check. The background checks, they took about 2 months or even more, I can't remember. But there was a delay in my background checks because they wanted some documents for my business, and I needed to understand why. But anyway, that was eventually cleared. And then after that, you have to pay for your NHS fee. NHS is the National Health Surcharge, and it's currently 624, and you have to pay for the duration of the visa. So it was 624 even then. So then it was for 3 years. I paid 624 times 3, and then I also paid the visa application fee, which is 625. So all together, it was 2,500 pounds, and converting it to rand at that time, it was around about 50,000 rand. And then I booked my flight. My flight was 680, and that's because I booked a direct flight, and I chose premium economy because I needed an extra luggage. I still paid for my luggage as well because I had 5 bags, and I packed all my life, guys. Packed them in all those 5 bags. So I paid for my bags, and then I had to book accommodation as well. So with the accommodation, like, I almost went with Airbnb, but someone else came through and told me that I should book a hotel. So I booked this hotel. It's called Travel Lodge. It's a basic hotel, honestly, but it's still okay. So I booked through Travel Lodge, and I paid around about 25,000 rand. Airbnb was going to be like above 40,000 rand, and I couldn't believe it. And I was booking for 3 weeks. So I paid that much, and then yeah, I got to UK. I also paid for a taxi from the airport. I mean, I was advised to take buses and whatever, and I was just like, now I need to get to the airport, find a taxi that's gonna take me straight to my hotel. There's no way I'm gonna be trying to figure out how the transport system works and so forth. So yeah, and that was around about 80 pounds, the taxi, which is like almost 2,000 rand. So all in all, I'd say, like, for my NHS and TB test, NARIC, the English test, I paid almost like 60,000 rand, 62. And then if I include my accommodation now and my flight, so accommodation was like 25, so that's like 85. And then my flight was, let's say, like 11,000 rand, so that's 96,000 rand. Then my taxi to 98,000 rand. So let's just say altogether 100,000 rand, right, to be in UK. So I get to UK, I obviously booked a hotel, and in my hotel I only included breakfast, right? So I had to pay for my lunch and dinner. Guys, the first night I bought dinner here, I paid around about 350 for a burger, and I was just shocked, like, damn, this is a lot of money for just a burger. But I had saved enough for my move. I had tried to save as much as I could, and I was able to pay for those things. And then now what happened was, I was supposed to get to the UK, open a bank account, and claim my costs. So the flight costs were not paid by the firm, but everything else I could claim. We also get a relocation package on top, so I mean, the flight cost is sort of covered in that way. But I couldn't open a bank account. The bank account was such a mission to open because they want proof of address, and I didn't have proof of address. But eventually I opened the bank account with my Investec account, with my South African Investec account, which was a lot easier, honestly, and I'm still using that. I wanted to change, but I haven't. Now that only happened towards the end of January, so that means the whole month of January I had to leave on my savings. And then, which was, yeah, guys, it was scary because every time you swipe, like, well, my 500, I got 500 for a small thing. And there was this one weekend where I was so frustrated with this bank account and not being able to find an apartment. I decided to go shopping with my South African rand, weak rand, and guys, I paid a lot of money for it doesn't bad, right? But it still made me feel good. So yeah, towards the end of that month, so I had to pay my deposit for my apartment, and still I I was still waiting for my card, yes. So I paid 1,000, how much is it? 1,650, yes. Which was my deposit and my rental fee. And I had to, that's in pounds, and I had to pay that using my South African rand. Life is expensive in this country. It's very, very expensive. But eventually I was paid. So all of that was reimbursed, except for my flight, like I said, and accommodation. But we do get a relocation package, so it sort of covers that. So altogether, I would say that moving is an expensive thing. It's very, very expensive. And a couple of months ago or weeks ago, the minister here announced that they're going to be increasing the health surcharge per person per year from 624 to 1,035 pounds. So meaning if you do get the 3-year visa, you're going to have to pay 3,000 pounds upfront. And that's a lot of money, plus the application fee. So 3.6. Yo, like, and they are doing that to sort of cover the salary increases for the healthcare workers and stuff. And for knowing, you know, guys, because I'm era, well, I'm gonna be back into the era of paying, but the firm does, pay for these things. However, when you're moving for the first time, if you do move the firm that doesn't pay up front, that means you have to fork out 3,600 pounds, which is a lot of money, and all these other costs. So yeah, that's how much it roughly costs. And one thing I can say is save as much as you can. If you are unable to save all this money, what you could do is go and increase your credit card limit, max it, put it to the max, because 10,000 rand yako is not really a lot of money here. So max it so that you are not in a position where you run out of money. So yeah, and I've heard of people doing this, like doing their credit card and making sure that they get it to the limit. And I know you can get like quite high limits from the banks. So do it. You know, you want to be on the safe side. It's not like you're going to use all that money, and if you do, you're going to pay it back in a month anyway. So just try not to use it for the NHS fees and the visa fees, and maybe use it for your flight and your accommodation when you get to UK, because then you're going to be able to pay it in a month, so you won't incur much interest. So yeah, save as much as you can, but that's how much it costs. And if you do move, one thing I'm going to advise is accommodation and the bank card, do it fast. The first day you land here, figure out how to open a bank account. You can do the online accounts. There's Monzo and there's Revolut or something. Now guys, I was declined by Monzo. I don't understand till today. I don't understand why I was declined. Some people were able to just open Monzo from the get-go, and me, I didn't get it. So if you are lucky and you are approved by Monzo, then everything is gonna go well for you. Trust me. Like, you won't have to wait for weeks to be reimbursed for your funds. So yeah, thank you so much guys for watching until this point. Do let me know if you have anything that you'd like me to cover. Stay blessed.